Hey, what's up guys? It's Corey here with Dapper Dollars, and today we're going to talk about why Cathie Wood bought the biggest marketing flop from Palantir. You ready? Let's get started. So, this channel is all about using the online income opportunities like merch by Amazon and Etsy to build our income online and invest this income in things like the stock market and real estate. If that sounds like something you're interested in, like and subscribe, and let's get started. So, we woke up this morning to the news that Cathie Wood and Ark Invest have bought over $24 million worth of Palantir stock. And this is great if you're an investor in Palantir, and from what we can see, the general consensus for the day is that stocks are headed in the right direction. Now we'll talk about that in a video a little bit later, but for right now we're talking about why Cathie Wood and Ark Invest bought the Palantir marketing flop. So, is Cathie Wood buying the dip of Palantir, or is Cathie Wood buying the information and the marketing that has come out from Palantir? Well, let's talk a little bit about the marketing information that has come out about Palantir and the marketing flop that happened recently. So, the most recent information that's come out about Palantir is the Rainier Journalism company, or journalism media marketing business partnership extension, and the influence that Palantir has had over this company. So what this has been, as far as what Rainier has said about Palantir and Palantir's help here, is that Palantir has allowed Rainier to transition to the digital journalism space and the digital marketing space of journalism. So what that means is that they helped Rainier to collect the data of their customers, the information, and the news information sphere that has been going on to make a better opportunity for creating journalism and articles that are more relevant for their customers in the future. And this is essentially what Palantir is great at, because a journalist came on that video and said that they are most excited about Palantir because Palantir gave them the opportunity to see the information as far as what customers liked and other articles, what that journalist was writing, and what would be most helpful for the journalist to write in the future to reach the broadest audience and get the most monetization for their efforts. And this is what we've been talking about. Palantir takes in data from the customers who are reading about this stuff, the business itself, and what the business is producing, and is able to compare and contrast based on what information is available and who is able to run that information within the company. And it runs simulations to give you a better understanding of what would be the best practice moving forward. So in this case, the journalist is given a set of information that tells him if his target audience is this, then writing about this has been shown to be most of what these people are looking for. And these things are things that they would likely look for in the future and be most interested in and create the most revenue for the company. And this validates the thesis that we talked about in the last video that I did on Palantir, because this is essentially what we were talking about there, where the NHS, the National Health Service, is using Palantir to look at the data from cancer research and COVID vaccination. And what they do is take all the information from the people who need the vaccine, the information they have about the vaccine, people who have cancer, and the information that they know about the disease of cancer. It runs simulations on all of these things to create a game plan for what would be the best way forward for people and doctors in that situation, of course, using Palantir's Foundry. Now, that is a huge task, and like I said, it is the NHS, the National Health Service. And we have the comparison here of Rainier, which is a journalism and digital marketing company. So those are two very big and broad things. But we see that Palantir is able to work in both situations. And like I talked about in that video, this is similar to how Tesla works, where at the top you might have the Tesla, Tesla Plaid, and the being compared to the NHS use of Palantir. The NHS use of Palantir likely has a lot more bells and whistles, the same way the Tesla Plaid, that the Rainier company is needing or using. The same way that Tesla makes an economy model of the Tesla car. It is a $30,000 car, whereas with the Plaid you can get all the way up to $500,000. So the same way it is working with Palantir. Palantir has a very high-end product that can likely be parsed down to something very basic that is just data collection and data analyzation and simulation for Rainier. So like we've said, this is great because it shows that Palantir is going to be successful and is accessible and usable and user-friendly across many broad markets, and from the high end all the way to the low end. They have something that can be a luxury item and a everyday item. This is great for Palantir because it means that their total addressable market is almost limitless, and they're looking at Apple-like potential as far as what they can do for their customers. And so this is great for Palantir, and it is likely why Ark Investments and Cathie Wood are buying so heavily into Palantir on these dips, because they see what Palantir is capable of. And even the message that came out recently, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, Palantir is making strides to not only be a disruptor as far as what information can be gathered and analyzed and simulated to help businesses, but also how that information is decentralized for the good of people. Because right now, the thing that Palantir addresses is the fact that data for information is not accessible to most people who even run those businesses. And at worst, it is taken from those businesses by companies like Amazon, Google, and other companies to have this data for Facebook and companies like that to use this data to monetize it themselves, and they benefit from collecting this data from other people. Palantir has stated over and over that their mission is to decentralize this information, to make it so that it is not up to, or not something that other companies have access to, and instead it is decentralizing the information that Palantir uses and acquires to help that business or the benefit of those individuals. So this moral direction that Palantir is on aligns with the disruption of the market that Palantir is pursuing, which is likely why Ark Innovation is going so hard into Palantir and why Cathie Wood is likely throwing her weight behind this company. This is a great example of a company that is a disruptor and an innovator. This is an amazing stock in my opinion, but they did have a bit of a marketing flop here recently. So let's talk about that. You all probably saw the video of the leader of Palantir coming out, going into his barn, and saying that he is for the emancipation of data from companies and the freeing of this information so that people who own these businesses and enterprises can have access to their own data instead of having it held hostage by other larger companies like Facebook, Google, and Amazon. This is great, and everything he talked about here is relevant because it is definitely feasible to think that most people want to have access to their own data. They don't want to have to go to a company, and they shouldn't have to go to a company that is providing the service of internet and the pathway to reach your audience. The data that happens along the way and that is lost along the way, that is kept by companies like Amazon, Facebook, and Google, is really data that belongs to the enterprise because it is their customers. It is their information that they are paying these companies for, and so likely it is the moral pursuit of Palantir to make sure that the companies who use and pay for these the access to customers through Amazon, Google, and Facebook, they keep their data. And I hope this is making sense. But anyway, so Palantir came out with this great emancipation declaration of data, and that they are offering Palantir data collection and management services for free until the end of the month. And then hopefully people would choose to continue with Palantir data management and simulation running in the future. However, we see this flop happen where it just fell on the ears of people who were so far into Palantir. And they didn't really reach hardly anybody, because when this information came out, I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. I went to go look online to see follow-up articles or people writing about what Palantir had said. There wasn't hardly anything. And so I went to Palantir's video that I saw on YouTube, and I was like, well, surely this thing has like millions of views by now. It's the middle of the day. This came out earlier in the morning, so surely there's going to be 1 million or so views on this. Nope. I think it was 30,000 at that point. And then I saw Palantir's YouTube channel only has 40,000 subscribers. So really, The only people that saw this information were the people who were so invested in Palantir that they follow Palantir's information. But guys, if you go out of our sphere, there are really not many people who understand Palantir or even know what Palantir is. So whenever Palantir made this announcement on YouTube, it basically was preaching to the choir. And true, all it takes is one to make this information happen. However, this was definitely a marketing flop, and it would have been better for Palantir to have partnered with a YouTube influencer or things like that, because I do believe that YouTube is the best way to reach people. I do believe that it is more effective and cost efficient than going to television, doing press releases and things like that. However, in this situation, they relied on their own platform, and really it just kind of fell flat because they only had 40,000 people subscribe to their channel, and the video only got 30,000 views throughout the day. I think today it has like 40,000, but still, it's not that many. And yes, there are other channels talking about this to give it more boost, but again, it's channels like this where people are invested in Palantir. People seek to understand Palantir. People want to see what Palantir is doing as a business. It is not reaching the people who are the potential customers of Palantir. And again, all it takes is one though. All it takes is for one company, like a Ford, like, a major IBM company. IBM's already working with Palantir, but anyway, so something like a Ford to take a chance on Palantir and say, okay, you can go collect all of our data for free, and I guess at the end of this, all we'll really lose is maybe some time spent working with Palantir to have them collect this data. And then Palantir would have the opportunity to show a company like Ford what they can do, that they did it for free, and what the benefit could be in the future. So again, all it takes is one. If one company reaches out to Palantir and takes advantage of this opportunity, that is going to be phenomenal, and I hope that happens. However, like we saw with this marketing flop, it wasn't exactly the best thing that could have happened, and probably not that many people heard about it or even know about it. So anyway, I think this is still great news. Everything that's come out about Palantir is great. Ark Invest likely sees the opportunity. Cathie Wood is definitely behind Palantir. We're behind Palantir. The market seems to be heading in a popular direction. So anyway, I hope all this information helps. I hope it's relevant. I hope it helps you to make a decision about investing in Palantir now or in the future. And remember, someone's going to do something amazing every day, guys. Why not you? See ya.